Big week and weekend in the NFL. We have returned. Big trades. You got the Combine. Matthew Stafford resigned. He's coming back. We're going to get into it all. We have Hall of Famer Calvin Johnson on the show. We'll talk a little primitive. We'll talk a little Combine. We'll talk a little his Combine. And PFF's Trevor Sikkema. He's got the numbers. Joining me fresh off a week in Indy. Sad I missed it. Here we are. After a little off-season refresher, Matthew Hamilton, and I'm so sorry we didn't go to the Combine. It is I feel like if you have to miss one thing on the NFL calendar, which is a 365, as we know, I enjoy missing that one. I'll just admit it. I've never been, though. I've never been. And I like Indy, but you can't win them all.
Yeah, I mean, it's there's a lot going on there between the prospects, the media side of it. There's always a lot happening in Indy, and it's an experience for sure. But I understand your sentiment there.
I missed it all, and that's what today is for. I'm the kind of person who liked to cram for the test. What was that? You know, you'd go to like Hit Street Market at Mizzou, right? And you'd get like Tabasco sticks, and you'd get like your Flamin' Hot Cheetos and like whatever you wanted, your Doritos, everything. And I would study like in the middle of the night, until that's kind of how I approach the draft, the final life in general, as we know. So that's what we're going to do here. It's catch-up time. It all happened. All these amazing insiders and sports media members, coast to coast, just doing all of the hard work so we can chew on it with a Hall of Famer like Calvin Johnson today, and one of those guys who was there like Trevor Sikkema. You were all over it as well. And now it's time to get your girl up to speed. I have other news that I was interested in. We got wide receiver news, perfect for Megatron. Let's dig into the Debo trade, shall we? Let's do it. Thanks for watching Up and Adams this morning. A few weeks ago, we laid out the top storylines of the offseason before we went off the map in one of the biggest weeks of the NFL year, the Combine. Okay, and basically the storyline was, me saying, Adam Peters, Commanders GM, who we know and love, please go all in around Jaden. Use that $80+ million well. Go crazy a little bit. Well, Debo, we know, and he has said this, he did not reach his personal goals, team goals for last season as well. He didn't have the most productive season to his standard. But I think this is I'm ready to shine. I'm going to thrive in the situation in Washington. And I think it's smart by Adam, too, because it's a contract year. We're going to get the best Debo. I think he's got, new blood, new situation. He holds himself to a really high place that he wants to meet. So he's so dangerous when he's healthy, right? And he showed us that this past season, as you're seeing in some of these highlights. Debo is the ingredient that the Commanders' offense maybe missed alongside Terry McLaurin at certain points. I know it's hard to say because they were so impressive and blew the expectations off of everyone. But Debo's the winner here. We have, I'm sure Megatron would like to play with Jaden Daniels. I'm sure Devontae Adams would like to play with Jaden Daniels. He won the sweepstakes, so congrats to Debo. Happy for him. By all, and I've not spoken to him, but by all looks and appearances on social media, he is excited about the move. And it's a no-brainer, by the way, as the 5th-round pick, as you can see here, right? Even after taking on Debo's $17 million last year, the Commanders have over $64 million cap space to play with, 6th most in the NFL. They can continue to take these big old swings on free agents. I don't know, Myles Garrett? I know Howie wants him. I don't know who's going to win that, but Adam, you go for it. Make it happen. It'll be fun to see how the rest of the roster takes shape. This is, Peters, 3 big trades in Washington if we take a look, right? Jahan Dotson and a few mid-round draft picks. He flipped that into Debo Samuel and Marshawn Lattimore while scooping up extra picks in the process. So health, that's the focus for both of those dudes going forward. Take a bit of a gamble, bit of a risk, but not really for the haul, right? Like it's very nice. If you're a Commanders fan, you are happy at that full screen. And it's hard not to be really excited about what the rest of the offseason will bring. Debo, free agency will be here before we know it. Free agency is a week from today, Matthew?
Yeah, the negotiating window opens next Monday at noon.
I think they're in the driver's seat to steal the show. The Commanders.
I would agree. I think a lot of people want to play with Jaden. I think that's really going to help them out. And yeah, with all that money to spend, plus the allure of playing with Jaden and this roster, like it's a great time to be a Commander right now.
Yeah, it really is, and I love to see it. And we'll see what happens. You got other news, what's going on with Aaron Rodgers. There's some quarterback stuff, but let's dig into some of this combine. And it does have an impact on where these free agents will go, especially these wily veterans. When there's some young cats trying to make their name known, and did this past week. A lot of the big names decided to sit out until their pro days, which I think we'll see more of and makes sense. But it created some opportunities for guys to stand out, right? Especially at the quarterback spot. And let's talk, no Shador, no Cam Ward, Jackson Dart, who I met at 3 a.m. at a Dick's Sporting Goods last year. Okay, he was slinging it all over the field. We got to get him on the show. He showed off his arm strength. What an opportunity for him. 58 miles per hour on the radar gun, equal to what Jared Goff put up when he was the #1 overall pick, by the way, back in 2016. Jackson, Jackson, continues to work his way into the first round combo, like we're hearing, okay? And so does Jalen Milroe out of Alabama. He's got some ups and downs. I got my eyes on him for the first time, but look at this throw. Oh my gosh, what a ceiling he has. Love that they did this. Love that they got the time to shine. I like that the big cats sit down. So, the Bama kid and Jackson get to sort of up their stock a little bit. Now, apparently, his hands, Hamilton, grew half an inch since the Senior Bowl. I know it's a big deal. I laugh about it a little bit. I think you went to go see Brian Johnson, that biohacker that you and I love. And you got a little,
Oh my God, don't put me into that. Don't loop me into your nonsense with that character.
Into my web? I don't know. I'm just saying, how do your hands grow half an inch? I don't understand.
I don't understand it either. That's why I was like, when I saw that, I was like, we got to get Trevor Sikkema on, because I feel like he's somebody who can break this down for us and make sense of this. Yeah,
who is
he knows what's. He was down in Indy. He can figure all that out for us.
People have their niches. Who is that? I mean, who's hand size guy?
It's a great question.
That could be you. Yeah. It could be you.
It could be. Yeah. It won't be, but it could be. Yeah.
Tyler Shuck.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about him.
You did it.
Yeah, thank you. Out of Louisville. He, I mean, did anybody help themselves out with their draft stock more than this guy? A 4.63 40? I like how he looked throwing the ball from what I saw. Super polished. I don't want to hear about the 25-year-old thing as a negative. We're not dinging him. In fact, it's nice to be a little tenured. It's nice to have a little dirt under your fingernails at the quarterback spot with experience and such. Some of the more polarizing quarterbacks did show up as well. Quinn Ewers, Steve Sarkisian, the coach, he was there. Strong day all the way around. Brady Cook out of Mizzou ran a 4.6. And he threw it well. Good for them. They have a great basketball team right now, too, I hear. Nation's leading passer, Kyle McCord, out of Syracuse. He looked the part, too. Quarterback class didn't have the most buzz going into the combine. But guess what? It's like the funniest, most BS thing ever. It's not a quarterback draft. This is why I don't even like going to the combine, because it's like the week after the real stuff starts happening, where, like, of course it's a quarterback draft class. It's always going to be. I mean, last year was unprecedented. That draft class was absolutely insane, especially at the quarterback spot. I don't know that we have a Jaden here, but there are some prospects. I think that they did their thing. I'm excited to see how it plays out, and we'll see if the stars happen. Okay, are we taking a break here? Okay, we're going to take a break. We will be back, hopefully, with Calvin Johnson on the other side. Trevor Sikkema. Okay, these are not good quarterbacks, yet somehow they're all going to go in the first round. That's fine. Year for quarterbacks. I think that's BS, Hamilton. I think it's always the year for quarterbacks.
Because the teams always need quarterbacks, so they're always going to draft them. But I think we also got spoiled last year. Like, as you said, like, you don't see draft classes like that. We can't expect that to be the norm, where you have 6 guys go in the first round and they're all good. But I liked what we saw. That Tyler Shuck was impressive. He has an injury history, which people are worried about. That's why he's still in college at 25. But he really looks the part throwing the ball, and he's an exciting one to keep an eye on here.
I think are we a Jackson Dart? Are we Jackson Dart people? I remember I texted like you and Richard.
Yeah.
Like, what do I need to know about this kid? Because I was doing a commercial with him.
Yeah.
He was lovely, and he had like a whole team, and he knew, I think you were texting me, and this is literally 2 a.m. my time, so like 5 your time. And I think you told, if I remember this correctly, you were like, he's a Manning's guy. Am I wrong?
Yeah, and Eli came on. Eli came on a couple of weeks ago, and he's a big fan of his.
And I went up to him and was like, doing the thing. He was lovely. He was lovely.
Yeah. And he is
diamond chain on at the combine. I saw that. I did see
those NIL deals. Yeah. But yeah, he's really impressive too. He's a great athlete. He can pretty much do it all. So there's a lot that he brings to the table. And those two, we didn't even get to see those two yet. I'm excited for those pro days. There's a lot of talent in this quarterback class. It may not be, you don't have 2 Heisman Trophy winners like last year and all that, but there's a lot of talent there. I don't buy it.
Yeah. In other news, my niece can now text message me.
Oh boy.
It's a big development. Maya cannot. She doesn't have a phone, but somehow I can't even log into my computer, but I was able to set up texting with her on her iPad, on her like school
That's
iPad.
Fun.
I don't know that anybody knows that I did this. I don't know if it's a legal thing, but it's happening. It hath happened.
Is she talking smack already, or?
No, it's like all so cute. Hi, Cha-Cha. I love you. Have a good day. I'm like, this is fantastic. I got a lot of takes on children after this past week. Lots of kids takes for you. Oh my goodness. I went to something called Badger Sports Park in Appleton, Wisconsin. I think that's where the Ebola virus has been hiding for the past 20 years. Kidding! Love you, Appleton. All right, let's do this. Calvin Johnson's on the show. What a treat.
Let's go.
6'5", Calvin Johnson.
We're legendary.
Calvin Johnson. Unbelievable. Touchdown.
We're legendary.
Megatron. Wow.
Legendary.
Love this guy. 3-time All-Pro, Hall of Famer, Lions legend. Calvin, why don't you wear that gold jacket every day? I would.
All right, I'll have to get it. I'll wear it next time.
Where is it?
It's in my closet.
No.
We actually got a new one this year. We had the old heavy one, and they gave us like a lighter performance light jacket. So it's pretty cool.
You have a different. They gave you like a Batman, like a better, like lighter stuff, so you can be more agile.
Exactly.
What? I love that. I think you should break it out at the Calvin Johnson Celebrity Golf Classic this year. I'm hearing it's June 30th. What do I need to know?
Yeah, so we're June 30th at the St. John's Resort in Plymouth, and it's actually called the Cardinals. That's the name of the course. They just redid it. And the special thing about this course is this year they'll be hosting the Live Championship for 2025, so it's very exciting.
Very good. Maybe I'll get out there and actually golf this year.
Come on, yeah.
Took a lot of shots of tequila. Yes, that would be so fun. That's in the future. Let's go to the past here. We're coming off the combine. 2007, Calvin Johnson. You know, you're going to be a top pick. You know that. You're thinking, I'm not going to do any drills. I don't have to. There's a lot of lore out here we need to straighten out. You run a 4.35 40, which I'm sure you think is not very as fast as you really are. But like, what actually happened with this story?
So, to set it up right, I wasn't going to do anything going into the draft. My agent was like, you don't have to do anything. You're going to be a top pick. I was like, well, okay. And I went into all the meetings and whatnot. And everybody's like, you're 240 because I weighed in at 240. There's no way you could run, a 4.4. I'm like, shit, I'm going to run faster than a 4.4. And I kept getting that question over and over, like, you can't run because you're 240. I was like, okay. I called my agent. I'm like, can you send me some cleats? Like, next day me some cleats. He next day me some vapors or whatever. And there's a story that I borrowed somebody's cleats, right? So what had happened was the quarterback group was running before us. And the last quarterback, I think he might have went to like East Carolina.
James
I forget his name.
Yep, James Pinky.
So he happened to wear the same size shoe, and he asked for a pair of shoes to wear. I don't know why he didn't have shoes for one of his biggest interviews of his life. But anyway, he wore my shoes, and what they saw was everybody saw him giving me back my shoe because he's the last runner. And in that process, everybody's like, oh, shoot, he didn't run with his own shoes, and he still ran a 4.35. So I probably could have, let that story roll. I mean, it ran for however long it has run. But, yeah, that was the gist of it.
And here you are doing your thing. Amazing. I mean, there's guys running in the 4.3s, but they aren't doing it at 6'5", 239. This is absolutely insane. What was your least favorite part? Those meetings have to be exhausting. Yeah.
The meetings, they're taxing. Yeah, they're testing you. They're taxing you. You get frustrated. It's like, man, I just want this trip to be over with. I just want to go play ball.
Do you remember the questions they asked you?
Yeah, there's a bunch of, scheme type questions, trying to figure out if you know your coverages, if you know different looks. So, I mean, it wasn't terribly hard. But then they asked you some stuff about, I think it might have been maybe Mike Marks when I was testing with the Lions potentially that he might have been asking me about fronts and whatnot. I was like, I can't tell you nothing about a front.
I would literally, that's what I would opt out of if I were you. I'd be like, I don't need to know scheme or do you see me? Do you see me? And what I can do, just throw me the ball. That's what I would have done. We saw receivers put on a show and have opportunities. It's always fun to see at the Combine. Is there anybody that's sticking out to you already in this draft class at wide receiver?
Yeah, for sure. Tech McMillan, was Arizona, I believe. Just his size. I'm like, this guy he's built to be a number one receiver. Let him play in the slot. Let him play outside. They like to put the little guys in the slot. Let the big guy get in the slot. Let him run across the middle and make plays. In my heyday, when I was playing all the positions at the receiver position, that's when I was really able to really dominate the game. So let that kid go play everywhere. And then also, like my man from Texas, I was able to see him throughout the year. When they went over to the SEC. Shout out to my dude, Tashard Choice. Now he's the running back coach in Detroit. I was watching a big part of reason I was watching Texas was because he was the running back coach out there. But I caught a glimpse of Matthew Golden. Yeah. And this guy's making plays. He's getting behind DBs all the time. He's fast, obviously, as we saw that 4.29 that he ran. But I love the guy. He can make plays on the ball down the field, even though he's not the biggest guy out there as far as receivers go. Yeah,
and Tet is 6'4". He can fly, and he didn't work out, but he did measure in it at a legit 6'4", which I figured. Yeah, you might like that. I figured. You were
love to the big guys.
Of course. You were such a huge part of the draft when it was in Detroit. It was so fun to see you be part of that. Yeah, look at that. You're just so cool. You always look so cool. How do you pull off a cool look like that, Calvin?
Don't say that. My sisters and my brother, they're going to be talking trash. Like, you're not cool.
No, even on the sidelines at all the game, you have, the coolest jacket. You're so effortless. You always have the shades on. You're a cool-looking guy. If that happened in Green Bay, if you got to do the pick, would you get a warm welcome? Do you think you'd get booed by a Green Bay crowd?
Good question. I mean, I think it's a double-sided sword there. I got a lot of them that love me. I got a lot of them that dislike me. So I think since I'm not playing anymore, I might get a warm welcome, perhaps.
A warm welcome.
Get a warm welcome.
I love that. Let's talk about Travis Hunter. So this kid made some waves at the Combine. Let's all take a listen to this.
What's more difficult for you doing football or what probably me, what I do in football, because it's a lot on your body. Tony, he's a great player, but you got to do a lot in football.
He was asked about playing corner and receiver, and which was more difficult, or if it was more difficult than what Shohei Ohtani does with the Dodgers. What do you think about that?
Ooh, that's tough. I mean, baseball is my first love, and to be able to pitch, and then to be able to hit the ball like he does as a pitcher, that's unseen. We haven't seen that ever, So, the dude's a bona fide star, but Travis Hunter is too. What he's done in college to play both ways. It's tough to say which one is tougher. We know that football is definitely tougher on your body, but the level of skill to be able to hit that ball and place that ball where it has to be, that's it's excellence, in what we've seen from both of them. So, but just football being my number one sport, the team sport, the selfless sport that it is, and what it does to your body. It takes a little bit more to be able to, be a star, such as Travis Hunter, and be able to do that on a professional level, man. If he plans on playing both ways, I'm gonna be tuned in because I got to see how his body holds up. That's gonna be tough to be able to withstand the rigors of an 18-game now season. playing both sides of the ball, 60-plus plays on both sides of the ball. So that's tough.
What would you advise him? Do you think he should play both ways?
Oh, man, I don't know. I mean, he's a great corner. I mean, he has awesome ball skills. I mean, honestly, if we're talking about, like, that paycheck, you might want to play receiver. But and I say that because, you're going to get worn down. I mean, it's inevitable that you're going to get beat. You're going to get worn down playing both sides of the ball if that's the case. But if it's limited, if they're able to limit him and just give him a certain amount of plays, and if that's the focus, is to give him a certain amount of plays so that he can, be out there when the time matters most. That might be the best way to go about it if he's going to play both sides of the ball.
Is there a receiver that he reminds you of that you can give a? I'm just starting to learn. I met him. I'm trying to learn more about him. Who does he remind you of?
What's his stature? I'm not for sure what his stature is.
I'm sure they can tell me in my ear. I'll look it up. Let's see. I have to look it up. 6'1", 180.
6'1", 180. Who does he remind me of? I don't know.
Okay.
I really don't know. He's built like a top corner, though. He's built like a top corner. Nobody likes to see those top corners that can run, that can turn it over with long arms, and then he got ball skills. That's scary as a corner, but he's scary as a receiver too, though.
Yeah, we'll see we'll see where he goes. I'm thinking about the other news that's going on in the NFL outside of the combine and the draft, which, of course, crazy that free agency is a week from today. Lots of, it's nerve-wracking. All these things happen. But the big news is that the Commanders, with just Jaden Daniels, who you saw up close and personal, we can get to that, now have another receiver, Deebo Samuel. He's headed there. 5th-round pick. When you heard the trade, what did you think? Because I feel very much like the Commanders are this year's Lions. If that hurts, I'm sorry.
It stings a little bit. Still kind of fresh. But, it's great for the Commanders. What they have there in Scary Terry, to be able to add two veteran receivers that know how to make plays, that can get open, that can run after the catch. If Deebo comes into camp and is extremely fit going into this year, I don't know what they can't do. The defense, obviously, always continue to tighten that up. But on offense, man, they have a scary offense. You got two basically number one receivers out there. Just like, that's what Philly had this year. They got two number one receivers in Devonta and
T.
You know what I'm talking about? TJ Brown. Yeah, sorry.
No, it's okay. Yeah. So, okay. Yeah. So when you watch this go down, I've had every player in the NFL, even at Super Bowl, they love Jaden. They would, Devontae Adams, before the season, I think it was like 2 weeks into the season, he was still a Raider. He was telling me, man, I really wanted us to take Jaden. I would have been happy if we got him. I'm sure you're seeing what everybody else sees, but I would just love to hear from you. I'm sure you'd like to go play for the Commanders. Could he entice you? I feel like Jaden's the best recruiter in the NFL right now.
Yeah, he's very charismatic, great energy. And then obviously the kid is a baller. He's been in a lot of tough situations in his rookie year, and he's been able to overcome in a lot of those situations. Obviously, you're showing the Lions game here. I feel like we took him. I'm not gonna say the team took him for granted, but I know the atmosphere in Detroit, could spend a lot of time downtown during the football season, just to be around the vibe. We took them for granted, and not saying the team, but the city, we took them for granted. Like this was going to be a pushover, and you can never do that in football. I assume that the team didn't do that, but they came out and they got after our quarterback early, and they were making plays. We had turnovers. It's just a bad mix.
A bad mix. How do you think that affected your Lions? Is there any good in it? Like they're going to be more motivated potentially? Like the aftermath, I feel like they lost and went into the night and then lost their coordinators. It's going to be a tough climb here for the Lions. We'll see what they're really made of.
Yeah, that's the big unknown right there. How is this new coaching staff going to come in and get these guys ready to play? But one thing I do know is that this team is a veteran team. We have guys that are able to learn from their mistakes, and we have guys that know how to win now. And I'm excited because, even though we have new coaches, we still got, for the most part, the same cast, especially on offense there. So we're going to be able to still put points up on the board as long as we have a solid coach that comes in and plays to his team's strengths and not to his own.
Should we add a receiver? Let's take a look. You're mentioning those free agents, right? So we've got T. Higgins. You got, Devontae Adams might get cut by those Jets. Cooper Kupp, it's all still happening. It's a week away. Chris Godwin, Diggs, Keenan. Should they add somebody? And by the way, T. Higgins should be tagged by, if he gets tagged, it'll happen tomorrow by Cincy.
Yeah. I mean, the one that excites me the most on that list is T. You know, T has, you know, like I said, they have two number ones over there in Cincy too. With having T over there, T can make some serious plays, especially down the field. Big guy. I love his game. Respect to all those guys on the list, but man, if they don't tag T, shoot, that would be a great addition. Even though we have we have a great core here as well.
Yeah, I wonder what happens to Adams.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like, you know, maybe he follows Aaron wherever he goes next.
And where's that? I mean, we're hearing about Aaron. You've always spoken highly of him. Like, you guys have had your battles together. But, like, you know, when you're looking at that, it's like he wants to go to the Giants. There's a world. I don't know what would you wish for him?
What would I wish for Aaron?
Vikings, maybe? Like, what's gonna? Yeah, it's wild.
No, I don't want to see him in the division. Honestly, I don't. I mean, even though like people like don't care right now because he hasn't had the best last year or whatnot, but still don't want to see him in the division. No, yeah, go to or at least in the NFC North. Go to the Giants. Help them out. They need a little assistance.
Do you think that he should retire?
I mean,
no.
To each his own. You know, I mean, maybe I guess he hasn't had enough. You know. I don't know. I can't call that one. Does he still have it? Does he still have the arm? Yeah. Can he still move? Does he still? I mean, is he still an intelligent quarterback? I'm positive that he is, but you know, he needs a fresh start. That's one thing. That's for certain.
People think he doesn't have it, though. I like to hear you say he's still got it.
He's still got the arm. You know, I mean, does he have the focus? I think that's the biggest thing. Does he still focus?
Maybe we could use some primitive products. Get him ready. What primitive product would you send over to Aaron Rodgers?
Nothing. I would send him our permanent performance line. Nothing with THC, all CBD, just for recovery. That's all he needs.
Yeah.
Just to be able to recover, so he can get back to play and be his best.
In his heart. In his head, his temples, just rub it everywhere. That's how primitive works. You said that you can't really speak to each his own. You know a little extra about Matthew Stafford, though, and I was tracking this thing happening because that was the big chip that needed to fall to see about the draft and these other quarterbacks, Aaron Rodgers included. So they agree, they restructure the contract over the weekend. It seems like Matthew happy to be in Southern California, all of that. The Rams let him test the market, and he's going to take less money to stay in LA. What does something like this do to Matthew Stafford? Is it motivating to him, or is there resentment? Probably not. Like, what does this kind of a thing do to him?
Without being behind the scenes, you would hope that, you know, him taking less as a teammate, you know, you would hope that will rally his teammates around him. For him to be where he's at, you know, to bring them a championship, you would hope that it wouldn't have, you know, gone down like that. Yeah, he might have lost Cooper Kupp. Obviously, he has Puka there. So as long as they continue to, you know, keep him with a certain level of talent around him, he's going to be able to find him. Obviously, we see he still has a throw. I mean, he could throw with his index finger. You know, the kid has a seriously talented arm still at his age.
The kid. Do you know that if Flacco doesn't come back and if Rodgers hangs it up or doesn't find a home, that kid is the oldest quarterback in the NFL?
I don't know. I guess I just been calling him kids since back in the day. But yes, you're right. He is the oldest. Yeah, that's right. I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
Why do you think? I guess what I'm trying to get at is what motivates him. Like, I would have hung it up after that Super Bowl probably. What motivates a Matthew Stafford?
I would have to say that, you know, Matthew loves to perform.
Yeah.
You know, he knows that he still has it in the tank. And, you know, he can, and I feel like he's seeing everything a lot clearer than he was. Not that he wasn't seeing it clear back then. He's seen all the looks almost. He knows what defenses are going to do to him. And for right now, it's like, it's just art to him. You know, he's just picking them apart.
I mean, you have to really love the game to play through broken ribs and the toughness that he shows. But it's interesting to me. I wonder, you know, we're talking about this gold jacket. How often and what are the conversations like about the Hall of Fame with Matthew when you do see him?
We have never talked about the Hall of Fame. I don't think we have ever talked about them. Yeah, I don't think we've ever talked about the Hall of Fame. But I mean, the kid has all the tools that you know, he doesn't run a whole lot. But as far as that arm talent, you know, he has it. He has the ring, you know. So that was the one thing that was holding him back from being there. Obviously, he has the stats. So, I was fortunate to have him as a quarterback. So, does he deserve it? I think the more we watch this kid, the more it's hard to say no.
Yeah, I wonder if that motivates. I'm just thinking about him and his deal, and like, you know, he could just walk away, and he won his Super Bowl, and I wonder if he is thinking about his legacy, or if he just doesn't care and he wants to just make plays because he loves it. It's interesting.
I think it's a little bit of both. You know, definitely his legacy. I mean, he's put up the numbers. He's going to continue to pad those numbers. But, I mean, if there's opportunity for him to continue to win, you know, I think he's going to take it.
What happens, because if Kupp's gone, just from your receiver mindset, how big of a loss is that?
It's a big loss. You know, Kupp was consistent. He's been Mr. Consistent for those guys for a number of years. But I'm imagining that Sean McVay has his eyes on somebody out there that's going to be able to come in and fill that hole. You know, he's almost like the young mad scientist out there. So I'd imagine that he has his eyes on somebody. Yeah.
You're doing everything with the golf tournament. You are obviously, you know, having so much success with Primitive. Are you also looking at real estate in Chicago? What is this rumor that I heard? What? Don't tell me there was truth to this. There's a rumor that you were going to be the Bears wide receiver coach. How much truth is there to that?
There's zero truth to that. I spent too much time on my company, and, you know, I mean, shoot, Antoine is there. He just went there. Ben Johnson took him. Both of them, you know, skipped town on us. I ain't mad at them, but, you know, we were having success here.
Wait, but how did that rumor start? There had to be some. Was there a question?
I honestly have no idea. Somebody just started something somehow, and it just, you know, obviously caught steam and went viral. I heard about it probably a week after it started. I really have no idea. I wish I could help you on that.
Nobody texts you and says, like, hey, are you doing this? You didn't find out right away?
I had plenty of, that's what I got. That's exactly what I got. I got text messages from everybody, like, is this really happening? I was like, come on, guys, y'all not paying attention? Like, Antoine's there. How would I be the receiver coach?
I don't know, but I just don't know if rumors just start out of nowhere. So I was very curious about that. You know, Devontae Adams famously said on this very show that he would never play for Chicago. Is there any world where you'd go and join? Is Chicago on a list of teams that you would not want to have anything to do with?
I mean, not really. I mean, Chicago's a great city. They have a great fan base. I hated playing there, like our first game of the season, because they're crazy. If they have a decent team, it's a rowdy stadium. It's a rowdy bunch there. They make it a tough place to play, especially with that wind swirling around there. But, I mean, for what Ben Johnson's probably going to bring to that team, I don't – this is just not thinking about the Lions, but for him, you know, just as a person, hopefully he can take that same level, you know, what he does as a coordinator and become a head coach. I wish that for him, but just not against the Lions. But him and, you know, Antoine, you know, they did some great things while they were here in Detroit. And I do think that, you know, he will be able to, you know, build upon what they have there in a young quarterback, Caleb. They have a solid group of guys there that they can grow, that they can, you know, build upon. It might not be this year, obviously, but you never know. It's a lot of it is in that quarterback's hand, and we know that guy has a lot of talent there. He just needs probably a little bit more direction.
Spring training, my friend, is underway. Love this. You have your second season as the proud CBD partner of the Detroit Tigers. What's going on with them? I think the home opener is April 4th.
It's wild. It's already here. But what's cool is that we're going to be doing a ticket giveaway. So, you know, follow us at primitiveperformance.com. Follow my handle at Megatron. We'll have some more information on there for any loyal Detroit Tigers fans to be able to win some free tickets, you know, be able to see us and have a good time. You know, it's going to be a fun season. The way we ended last year, in August last year, nobody thought we'd be in the playoffs. And then those guys turned it up. I'm not going to say it was due to primitive performance, but hey, it's our job. It's our job to keep them on the field. It's our job to keep them on the field. So
they were on the field. They were doing that thing, and you're only growing and leveling up for more and more. And there's, by the way, you can follow, like you said, Primitive Performance. You're seeing it on the screen, or Megatron on Instagram for a chance to win. They're amazing products. Aaron Rodgers is getting sent some, which we're very excited about. And you are the absolute best. We will hopefully talk to you in the off season, but we will definitely do the golf vibes in the summer.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
You are the literal coolest. Thanks, Megatron. We will be back after this. More Combine talk. We're back for a full week of shows in Los Angeles. Let's get to it. What a goat. I guess it's like a normal rumor, Hamilton, to be made up out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I would believe it more if it was like he's going to be the DB's coach, as he told us. He likes to hang with those boys.
Yeah.
I wanted to get into the, no, we don't need to do the D block. We don't need to do the D block. I mean, I can just talk. I don't really, I know, but I'd rather just get through Sikkema in 8 minutes as planned. I know I'm saying, so I can just talk until Sikkema's on. And then leave the D block, That make sense? No, I understand, so I'm going to just talk until Sikkema comes on. Uh-huh. Yeah. Awesome. No problem. Just going to shut my mouth. I'm trying to think if there's anything we didn't get to with him.
I think we got to pretty much everything.
Nothing newsy, though.
Travis Hunter's stuff was interesting.
Not really. I asked him for a comp, knowing that he's not going to have a comp.
I don't know. He seemed to be leaning corner without wanting to put him in that box.
Not really.
Yeah,
he wanted to say receiver to get paid.
He said he's got the perfect. Yeah, but he said he has the perfect build for a corner. Was how he kind of left that, which was telling to me.
I met him. I met him at Super Bowl.
How was he?
Good. There's it's evolved into. I mean, it's full teams of people.
Yeah.
Okay. Sure. Sure. Yes, I read the chat, Guy. Kate and a side part would go crazy. Are side parts back, Kat? I don't think so.
What a chat.
Oh, yeah. John Cena did a heel turn. John Cena did a heel turn. I saw that. I'm still part of the WWE algorithm. Okay, we've got lots to get to. Big thanks to Calvin Johnson for joining the show. He's into Travis Hunter. We're into the quarterbacks. It's not a quarterback draft class. Sure it is my take. My next guest, the lead NFL draft analyst for Pro Football Focus. He knows so much more than I do. And we're going to take like a little USB cord, Trevor, and take it from, your brain, and we're going to put it into my brain, and we're going to get the download and transfer all of the PFF information, okay?
This sounds a little too much like Severance, which the latest episode of Severance, if anybody is watching, was a lot to take in. So I'm a little taken back by that analogy, but we can do it. That's fine. We can go with that. That's fine.
I haven't seen a single episode. Is this the show with like the escalator and the bad lighting and Adam Scott and talk about innies and outies? Is that true?
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah.
I wouldn't describe it like that, but unfortunately, everything that you just said is a part of the show. So yeah, actually, you were 100% correct.
Corporate lighting. It doesn't look like an enjoyable show to watch. And what I mean is the innie outie thing. If it has anything to do with belly buttons, I'm out.
It has nothing to do with belly buttons,
okay.
So you are safe. You're good to go. You can keep watching.
I did watch White Lotus.
Ooh, I didn't see that one.
Okay, well then look this is why we have the USB cord, and I'll download you and you'll download me. Let's get to some of these things. You were in Indy. I was off the grid, but every time I look, there was some like wild stuff happening. There was some, speaking of like things that could be television shows. I don't want to talk about that though. What do I need to, what really, let's start here. Let's start big. What is the one thing that really stuck out to you in the whole week and process?
Okay, it feels like the running back is back. A lot of people have just been like devaluing the running back position, but we have some incredibly talented, incredibly athletic running backs, which are going to put to the test what everybody says. PFF, we've said this as well. Like, hey, you got to be cautious of running back return on investment, where you draft them. Do you take running backs in the first round? I think we get multiple running backs in the first round this year. And it's because so many of them showed up big, tall, fast, explosive, looked great in the on-field drills as well. So I don't know, just when you asked me that question, what's something that stuck out to you? I feel like the running back is back this year, and I feel like we're going to see that in the draft.
But the running back was back last year with the Derrick Henrys and the Saquons and the James Cooks and all of that. So, obviously you're not a GM, we're not setting the market, but the market has to change, right? If we're talking, now we're getting first rounders at the RB spot, would you be surprised to see the value of the running back go up?
So I think so overall, like we're talking about Ashton Genty, who is the #1 running back consensus basically from everybody, being a top 10 pick. And I think that one of the first landing spots that I go to him is for the Las Vegas Raiders. If they don't love one of these quarterbacks in this class, it's one of the spots that I could see him going because their new general manager, John Spytek, he comes over from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and he got to see like how great Bucky Irving was this past year and how that helped them achieve what they wanted to this season, especially on the offensive side of the football. And when he was at his combine podium media session, he was saying, look, I want to emulate the Philadelphia Eagles. Like, I want to be strong in both trenches, but I want to run the ball. I want to run the football. And so that doesn't mean you have to take a running back in the first round at number 6, but it makes me think that it's possible. And to your point, we're seeing a lot of teams lean more back into the run game because we knew that this would happen. 3-4 years ago, you have Mahomes and Josh Allen and all these guys throwing for like 5,000 yards every single season. Well, as defenses start to adjust and put more speed on the field, then they get a little bit lighter in their front seven. And now you see teams reacting to that and going, okay, well, if you're going to put one less linebacker on the field, I'm going to put a big-ass running back on the field, and I'm just going to go straight through the tackles, and that's how we're going to win football games. So I do agree with you. I think the running back is sort of coming back in vogue, if you will, and I think that will show in the first round this year.
I hope it shows with the money that I'm a pro player lady. Like, I want these dudes to get their bag. So it better reflect like, oh, it's in vogue. Get a big ass running back that's going to like give his entire body to your cause on offense every like 3 seconds. Then we should be paying them more. I don't know if it'll reflect in that. That's what I was sort of angling at. And by the way, it is a quieter free agent market this year at RB. So we will see those guys in the draft. Najee, Javonte Williams, and Aaron Jones, the big ticket items at running back. Very interesting. Okay, so the dust is settling from the combine. Is there a particular player, pick any, I know I'm so broad, I'm just starting to learn about this stuff this week. Who helped their draft stock the most?
I would say the guy that we saw yesterday, the offensive tackle from Missouri, Armand Membou, probably helped himself the most because he is so athletic. And he shows up above 330 pounds, and yet he runs a 4.91. That's crazy. I also loved his 40-yard dash. He talked about this with Stacey Dales on the field. It's like he was in a tennis match while he was running. It was just like, hup, 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 hup. And he even says afterwards, he's like, I was probably a little too loud when I was running the 40-yard dash, but look, Armand, whatever helps you run the fastest and test the best, because I think a lot of teams and I think a lot of mock drafts are going to start to talk about him as the top offensive tackle in this class. And it is about what he did, but it's also, some of these other offensive tackles not really having the arm length that you want, or maybe not being the athletes that you want them to be. I think all of that goes into account for a couple of different cases. Basically everything that Armand Membou did, you loved. And so for me, I think he could be the top tackle off the board. And he sort of went from this, maybe picked around number 15 or number 20 or maybe in the 20s, something like that. I think he could be a top 10 pick in the first offensive lineman off the board. I really do.
I love that. I mean, there's an Armand White Lotus thing to be done there, but I won't do it. I will not. Yeah, there we go. Tell me what this Hairston guy's talking about. What do I need to know about Maxwell?
I mean, he also had a phenomenal workout when it came to the vertical jump, the broad jump, the 40-yard dash, super explosive. He had the fastest 40 of any player that was there this weekend. And you see some of that in his tape, but he had a shoulder injury this year where he just did not look like himself. But that 2023 season looks a lot better than the 2024 season. And when he's fully healthy, he's a little bit smaller of a corner, but he gives you the explosiveness that you want at being a smaller size. And he'll tackle. He's a feisty tackler. He's a feisty competitor. He's somebody that has that competitive toughness about him. And that's what you want at the cornerback position. So I also think that he definitely helped his stock because he was seen more of, okay, where is he going to go on day 2? Is it an early day 3 pick? Is it a late second round pick, something like that? But when you've got that type of speed and when you have that type of mentality that you play with on the field, a lot of teams are going to gravitate towards that. I wonder if we start talking about him in the same range that we talked about Terrion Arnold when he had a great combine and he sort of rose to the back end of the first round where the Lions were able to take him. I feel like that's sort of the range that Maxwell Harrison might be talked about now.
I'm looking at PFF, and everybody should, by the way, if you're me, if you're a late bloomer, late studier, procrastinator, you like to just cram and drink coffee all night to study for the draft, that's what you should use. PFF is the best cheat sheet available, so please check it out. So Harrison's 42nd as a prospect on PFF's big board. You mentioned Membu, she's 24th, but I want to look at your combine risers. And this is part of PFF, go check it out. These are your combine risers. You have Harrison on there, you have, Higgins is on there. Is there anybody else that's sort of a surprise? Because Jaden Higgins is a bit intriguing, 6'4". He can run a 4.4. That's going to command attention.
100% it is. Like he has to be a big riser. And when you talk about combine risers, it's an interesting conversation because you can't just talk about the guys that performed well or ran really well, because the fact of the matter is, if you already thought they were athletic, then when they go to the combine and then they are in fact athletic, you don't want to count the traits twice, as scouts will say. So for guys that are true risers, you want to see a little bit of something that maybe surprised you in a great way. And for Higgins, he fits that bill entirely. When you watch him at Iowa State, he doesn't necessarily win with great vertical speed and great explosiveness. He wins with high route running IQ, really knows how to get off the line of scrimmage, knows how to create that separation with just how he wins within his route, those subtleties. He's got those long arms and he's good in contested catch situations. But now you throw in the fact that his explosiveness scores are really good. His 40-yard dash is really good. And now you've almost got this full, complete X outside wide receiver that you get to talk about. So to me, Higgins was sort of seen as this middle of day 2, early 3rd round, late 2nd round type of a wide receiver. And I think he could absolutely be a top 50 guy. Maybe the 1st round. I'm not totally convinced on that, but somebody who, even if he goes in the 2nd round, and we've seen a lot of good wide receivers in the league go in the 2nd round, he could be that one player this year that really breaks out there, that early 2nd round pick.
You have him as the 7th on PFF's wide receiver list, so everybody go and check that out. He could be moving up even more. We got pro days ahead, all of that. At quarterback, didn't see the studs, but I love that because then you can see the other throwing sessions: Milroe, Leonard, Brady Cook. Beyond, so it's Cam and Shador, 1A, 1B, whatever you want to say. Who's number 3? Who's the 3rd guy?
This will differ so much for every single NFL team. I think Jackson Dart from Ole Miss is probably the guy that is the most consensus QB3 at this point. We did get to see him throw. He threw pretty well. He did a couple of interviews. He's got a big personality type of a guy, former baseball background, so he's got that just natural overall athleticism and throwing ability to him. We saw that plenty of times in Ole Miss's offense with Lane Kiffin. And so I just feel as though the size, the mobility from him, that those big-time throws that he's had over the last couple of years, feels as though the NFL would probably gravitate towards a player like that. He's similar stylistically than Zach Wilson, and I know that some people will hear that and just, have PTSD with how Zach Wilson didn't work out. But Zach really he was not able to gain a lot of confidence when he played with the New York Jets and during his early part of his NFL career. And so that is something where it was never a lack of ability with Zach Wilson. It was really just a lack of confidence. And I don't think Jackson Dart really has any limitations there at all. But I know some teams love Jalen Milroe. They love the rushing ability. They love what he's made of. I mean, I have not heard anybody say a bad word about Jalen Milroe. Everybody who sits down and talks to them, whether it's the people at Alabama or just, talking to people who are really connected around the league, like everybody man, he's got such great work ethic. Whatever Jalen Milroe's ceiling is going to be at the NFL level, his desire to hit that, his work ethic to hit that, willingness to want to be the best, that's never going to be in question, because that's always something that NFL teams, I think, lose sleep over. Is you go, man, I love this guy's talent. I love what he could be overall, but does he want it? Does he want it enough to want to achieve whatever ceiling we believe that his athletic abilities?
Do you like him? You're talking about how everybody else feels about him. Do you like Milroe?
I do, and he might be my QB3 when it's all said and done, and he was my QB3, almost QB2 for a long time, because I just don't want to give up on him. He's got a super twitched up throwing motion, tons of
What would you be giving up for? Okay, give me the biggest question on this kid. I'm hearing it's consistency. Is that it?
That is it.
Got it.
You wonder about the hand size a little bit about that when it comes to the accuracy and the true ball placement, because he's got a little bit smaller of hands. And I think something that goes underrated when we talk about quarterbacks going from college to the NFL every year is the NFL ball is a little bit bigger than the college football. And so when you have players and quarterbacks who have a little bit smaller of hand size, whether it's 50th percentile or a little bit smaller, the smaller your hands are, the less control you have on the football. And that's just never good when you're talking about true ball placement going to the NFL. And so that consistency, that accuracy is something that worried me over the last couple of years. I did think that it got better in flashes this year, but as the ball gets a little bit bigger and with him having a little bit smaller hands, I just worry, is he ever going to have that true ball placement that you want? Because everything else, I love to bet on with Jalen Milroe.
What if his hands grow another half inch?
Then we're in. Then I'm all in.
What happened here? So 8 3/4 hand size. Here we go. 8 3/4 at the Senior Bowl, and then it jumps to 9 3/8 when his measurables came in at the combine. Now, what I think happened is that he went and found the great Rick Moranis and Honey, I Blew Up the Kids, which was not, of course, the first original, but the flip it and reverse Uno card on the whole thing. He finds him, gets back in the lab, ipso facto, voila, his hands grow. What do you think happened?
I think he purposely got stung by a bee beforehand.
Oh,
They just like put a bee up to his hand and his hand just really swelled up. No, obviously that's not what I think. It is kind of frustrating as, evaluators when those numbers are that different, because that is pretty significantly different when you're talking about quarterbacks and having control over the football. There are like hand massaging exercises that you can do to truly stretch out your hands, because the way that they measure hand size is they'll measure it from the end of your thumb to your pinky. So this is sort of your hand size right here. So you can massage it out and you can get it a little bit further out to try to have the longest hands that you can. But the fact of the matter is it's different scouts. It's different people that are measuring it at each of these events. And so sometimes you just get guys who measure it a little bit differently, I guess, maybe on the back side of the hand or the front side of the hand or something like that.
Okay, I'm bored of the hand talk, but I do want to ask, the jump that this will make, because and I actually really appreciate you saying that it's frustrating, because I just think it's funny. But I'm just a fan. But you're like, no, this sucks, because it is, and I think you'll agree, like 9 inches is sort of the benchmark. So him being below that probably really hurt him. That was, smaller than Brock Purdy. Now he's on the other side of that benchmark number, and he's, straddling the line. How much is it actually going to change where he's viewed? He's the 4th quarterback on PFF's quarterback list now.
Well, I think it goes into sort of, again, what you believed he could become. And you talked about, hey, what's something that's holding him back? It is that accuracy and that ball placement. Yeah. And when I think about his hand size, going back to what we were talking about earlier, if he has ball placement and accuracy issues now with a smaller football at the college level, well, the ball gets just slightly bigger and you have below 9-inch hands.
And it rains.
I don't know how much more accurate you are going to become naturally, just because you don't really have that. So that to me is the question that you have to answer here with the hand size with Jalen Milroe. And now that we do have a measurement that's above 9 inches, now you can maybe tell yourself or gaslight yourself, whichever one you think that it is, that like, oh, okay, no. The accuracy can get a lot better. The ball placement can get a lot better. It's not as much of an issue as it was before.
I think it'll help them. I think all these quarterbacks are a month from now going to go higher than they're going already. And you guys can check out PFF. Obviously, you've got the mock drafts. You've got all of the tools, all of the measurables, everything that you could possibly want. Go check it out. And Trevor, we appreciate you. And
Thanks,
the
Jay.
Pro Football Focus, of course, the podcast, NFL Stock Exchange with Connor Rogers. Everybody go check it out. Trevor, we appreciate you.
Thanks, Kay. Appreciate it.
Thank you. And we will be, of course, back on the TV side to wrap up the show. The stretches is interesting, but everybody's doing that,
Yeah. It's a pretty huge discrepancy. It's so interesting.
Well,
and especially, of course, it happens
they just
with the
got
guy
it
who's
wrong.
like,
Whoever did it at the Senior Bowl is literally like, oh, shit.
yeah.
Or
are they standing by the work?
Are they questioning that guy?
They should.
Yeah.
They should go back and talk to him. Yeah.
How about my guy Kieran Culkin winning the Oscar?
Amazing. We love that for him.
I knew that was going to happen.
What a career journey.
Poor, yeah. Poor Jeremy Strong. Ooh, that had to be tough.
Yeah.
Okay. No problem. Great.
I think it could be.
Sorry?
Oh.
What did you say, Hamilton?
Okay.
We'll do that tomorrow.
Running back. It's a big running back class.
Why is somebody in here saying that I was up all night? You guys are such jerks. Like, up all night. I slept a full 9 hours, survived an earthquake here on the West Coast. Somehow miraculously went to sleep still. Got a full 8 hours and sat through an hour and a half of makeup. And you guys think I was out all night. I hate everyone, every one of you on here. Kay was up all night. Go away.
Survived an earthquake like you're the Rock.
Can we block people on this thing? Because I'm about there. How do we block people?
We can work on it.
Yeah.
Alex.
Yeah. Are we on? Oh. Hamilton, stay, please. Welcome back to the show. Matthew Hamilton is with me. We're going to try to book some of these prospects. I'd like Jackson Dart on the program. I think he's going to be the third guy off the board. I just think he will.
That would be a nice one.
Although this Milrose ceiling, I love a ceiling.
It is tantalizing. He's got all the ability in the world for sure.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see over the next couple of weeks how that plays out. We'll probably get another hand size measurement at the pro day.
Yeah. You know how speed is the most important thing and it's what wins the combine, it's the flashiest, at least in the court of public opinion and fandom. What's the second thing?
Yeah. That's a great question. As far as as far as public opinion and as far as the team.
Just as far as what matters. What's the second thing?
I think the interviews are such a huge part of it because the teams they put these guys through the ringer. They throw all sorts of stuff at them. And they want to see how they respond.
I think they should let me do that with the coaches and GMs. We'll be back tomorrow. Bye. They should let me.